Coming to you from 8122 Production Studios in the heart of the 607, this is Horror Zone 607. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And remember, you can always join the conversation using hashtag HZ607. Welcome to Horror Zone 607, the podcast where we talk all things horror and bring you the week's biggest horror movie news. I'm your host, Mike C., and we are back in the studio in this first week of summer. And we got a great show for you this week. But before we get to that, let me introduce my co-host. He can be found most Saturday nights hanging out with his massive My Little Pony collection. Please give it up for Rich.
I'm the original Brony, bro. That's all you have to know. I am the original Brony. All Bronies bow before me because I am the king of the Bronies.
I'm bowing down right now.
Yeah.
And it's true. I am.
All other Bronies are jabronis. Throwing it in the wrestling terms there. But I'm happy to be here, Michael.
Hey, it's good to have you. Once again this week, we are missing our dear, dear friend Ron.
He's out keeping the streets safe, sir.
That's what I thought. And also, the rumor is he's buying you another My Little Pony.
He might be. I could use another one. I literally have 1,992. I'm 8 already from 2,000. So send if you want to send. Actually, don't do that, please. We have enough stuff that's going to go into our little cove here of a studio as we decorate it, and I don't really need more. I don't need My Little Pony stuff in here. Although if it's a Scientology My Little Pony, please send that our way in care of Derek.
Sure.
From the Three Fat Nerds.
Dragon Master Games.
He loves, you can send it right to Dragon Master Games, 1235 Upper Front Street, Binghamton, New York, in care of Horror Zone 607.
There you go.
And we will make sure Derek from Three Fat Nerds gets it.
Yes.
Because he loves stuffed animals and he loves Scientology.
He does. Both.
And he's scared shitless of both. So,
yes.
Hey, it's a win-win if you want to do that.
The little guy.
Just a picture of
adorable.
A picture of David Miscavige on a My Little Pony and send it in for him. I think I got my next Christmas gift idea.
I hope you do. I was figuring either that or maybe like a Freddy Krueger themed one, but Scientology would be better.
I'm still trying to get him to go to the movies with me this weekend.
Yeah.
So far, he's turning down all offers no matter what movie I say because he knows that I'd try to trick him into going to another movie, which we'll be talking about in a minute. So I don't want to bury that lead.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and we will be talking about that in a minute. But let's start with the biggest piece of news, in my opinion, this week. Dropped right after we released our show last week. Those of you out there that are horror movie fans, if you're listening to the show, I assume you are. Everybody knows the great movie, the Jack Nicholson starring Shining. Everybody knows the Shining. The Shining.
Because we don't want to get sued.
Yeah, we don't want to get sued.
The Simpsons joke will never die. I'm sorry.
No,
but yes, The Shining. The starred by Jack Nicholson.
Yes.
Also was directed by the great late Stanley Kubrick.
Right.
And of course, Stephen King hated that script.
He did. Well, as a lot of you may know, there was a sequel of the novel that Stephen King wrote, came out a few years back, called Dr. Sleep. Well, those of you out there that have been following the news probably know that Dr. Sleep is being adapted into a film. The trailer hit this past week. It's going to be directed by the modern horror movie legend director, Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks great. It is also starring as Danny Torrance, the same actor.
Ewan McGregor.
Oh, no, it is Ewan McGregor. I forgot. They changed it out, but he looks so much like him.
Yeah, Danny Lloyd played him in the original.
That's right. I forgot it was... yeah, you're right. Sorry. You know what? The damn trailer is like stuck in my head now. Like I've watched that trailer like 10 times.
So have I.
And so I'm confused on what's reality and not reality because they're messing with us so bad because... Flanagan said that when he did the trailer, that the only scene in the trailer that is from the original movie is the elevator, the blood coming out of the elevator scene.
Right. And when I was watching the trailer, I did not think that. I thought that there was a lot of stuff from the movie.
That's why now that I'm calling back and I'm like, yeah, it was Ewan McGregor. My mind is so warped around the fact that the damn thing looks so much like the original.
They even nailed the look of the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
it's unbelievable.
And so let's before we go into any more of the deeper stuff, let's just dive right into the trailer, which was phenomenal. You find out that Danny is older now, and he is communicating with another person young girl who has the shining ability as well. And then you find out that they are being visited by the bad people.
Correct.
Because they're trying to get a hold of her, and there's been others that Danny has, I guess, talked to over his years that had the shining, that they've gotten and corrupted and killed and all that happy good jazz. That's what you're led to believe in the trailer.
Right, and my mother actually bought this book. She's a big Stephen King fan, has read all of his novels, and she bought the book when it first came out. And I remember asking her about it. Now, I haven't read it, and the trailer didn't really give away a whole lot. It seemed to pay more homage to The Shining,
which I'll get to in a minute. There's some fun stuff about
that. But I believe what happens in the book is this group of people, they're almost like vampires, and they feed off of people that have The Shining.
They're like a psychic vampire, if you will.
Right.
They're not like a vampire in the sense of not the
traditional
and the
sense.
fangs. But anyways, so he's got to come out of like his self-imposed exile, if you will, because he's living a very low-key life. He's trying to forget about his childhood, which was obviously horrible because of the events of The Shining. And then on top of this, he's gone through life realizing that people who he's been in touch with that are like him have been picked off pretty much one by one, and now he feels bad because this young girl is the target. So now he's got to try to help her. So he's kind of coming out of that, and that's where you get the scenes, if you will,
right?
The homage to the original movie, where we're at the Overlook, where we're going into rooms, where we're seeing the door that has the axe chopped out, that has red rum on it, and he's looking through the door that his father looked at and delivered the "Here's Johnny" line. We see the blood coming out of the elevator. Like I said, when I was getting confused, and this is why in my head we're seeing him as a child.
Flashing back,
running around on a big wheel, but come to find out they didn't use the footage from the original, but it looks spot on.
Yeah, it looked like Danny Lloyd, who played Danny Torrance. It looked like him. I thought it was him.
That's why I said the movie just blows me away. That's how good this trailer was. Is that I'm in this world, a whole other world, just talking about it. The fun fact, though, as we brought up, the homage to the movie The Shining is on purpose. Mike Flanagan actually did something that nobody else has ever been able to do. He is now going to merge the Stanley Kubrick classic and the Stephen King books. He went to Stephen King and he said, listen, I understand that you didn't like the Kubrick version. I understand that, that's fine. I'm not going to try to sell you on it. But here's the thing. In pop culture, what people want to see is that version. But I want to make your book as well. So I would love, if you give me permission, to marry the two worlds. I will show you what I'm going to do. I will show you what it is. As long as you're fine with it, I will put it out to the world. But I need to marry the two, because in pop culture, the Stanley Kubrick movie is a classic, and we need to do that justice. But at the same time, I want to do your book justice. Surprisingly enough, Stephen King agreed. He made the movie. He showed it to Stephen King. Stephen King loves it. He thinks it's the greatest thing he's ever seen.
And he actually went to the Kubrick estate and did the same thing. And they were on board with it too and loved the final
he
product,
did a lot of respectful, but I mean the harder sell was going to be King. Let's be honest.
And it was because of how King feels about it, but you're right. I do think that
he pitched it to King. King said, okay, do it. If I don't like it though, you said you want it. Okay. All right.
Right. And Stephen King has said how great it is. He said you're going to be blown away by it. But yeah, you were right when you said that, people do want to see, they want to see a sequel to the movie. That's what I want to see. I've never read the book. So
ironically enough, last week on this podcast, we talked about horror movies that were released in 1980, which The Shining was released in 1980.
Right.
And then the next day we got the Dr. Sleep trailer.
I didn't see it coming.
Did we not call this though? We called our shot without knowing, because I didn't know about this either. I didn't see this coming at all. It came out of complete left field.
That's why people need to listen to Horror Zone 607.
We were ahead of the curve and didn't even know it.
But I probably should have seen it coming. There was probably an announcement somewhere that I missed. But
I mean,
even if not, we called our shot.
39 years ago, The Shining came out. So when this movie comes out, it's been probably 39 plus years, because I'd have to go look at the release date to release date. But 39 years on an overall picture, and we're finally going to get a true sequel to that movie, but also a true sequel to the Stephen King novel.
Right. And one of the things, too, I hope to see in the movie when it's done, and I don't know if you noticed it when you were watching the trailer, the score playing in the background of the trailer was the exact same score from The Shining, which is amazing. It's just like, the horns playing, and, it's, what a great...
he definitely used the imagery of The Shining and definitely the music.
Yeah.
It's got The Shining, the movie sequel,
right?
But it looks like story wise he's staying true to the Stephen King book, although adapting it into that world.
Right.
So it's basically taking it's an adapt. It's going to sound weird how I'm going to say it. It's an adaptation of a Stephen King sequel, Doctor Sleep, into the world of The Shining, the movie version, the Kubrick version.
Right.
I don't know. If the movie's half as good as the trailer is, this movie's an instant classic, and it will go down as one of the greatest sequel. It'll probably go down as the greatest sequel of all time, and possibly one of the greatest movies. And I'm just saying, if it's half as good, because this trailer
they knocked it out of the park.
It didn't give anything overly away. But at the same time, you know that it's going to be big.
And you know it's going to be a sequel to The Shining. They made sure of that with that. But, I don't know. It's got such big shoes to step into, considering that The Shining is considered one of the greatest horror movies ever made. It's going to be tough for people to come out of this and say, wow, that blew me away. But I hope that it does. From the trailer, it looks that way. Trailers can be deceiving, as we know. But I hope so. I don't want to be disappointed when I walk into the theater and when I walk out. I'm hoping that this is going to be something that I love. I think just as much.
I would be surprised if it's not, and I'm just going by the fact that how it looks to be put together, and the fact that it's already come out. That Stephen King's on board. The last movie Stephen King was super on board about that was adapted from him was It,
right?
And that turned out really good.
Yeah,
the remake.
I'd say so.
Chapter 1
did pretty well. And the other thing too that this movie has going for it that a lot of people may not realize again is Mike Flanagan. The guy has struck gold with pretty much everything that he has done. He's knocking it out of the park with everything that he's doing. So, when I heard that he was going to be directing the movie, I had a lot of faith in it. He's a fan of horror movies. He knows how to direct a horror movie. He knows what he's doing. So, this thing's in good hands, and can't wait to see what's going to happen with it. Other big news that hit this week. I was again the day after we did our show last week. It's very near and dear to my heart, as Rich knows, as Ron would know if he was here, and as you, the listeners, would know. Black Christmas, one of the all-time great horror movies, is getting yet another remake.
First of all, I want to point out, and it's hard to understand like how texts go. So I'm the one that found this story first.
Yes.
So I send it before I even posted it. Like, actually, no, I think I posted it and you didn't see it, and I sent it right after because a lot of times I'll send it to our group chat and I'll post it at the same time. So I posted it up so you guys could see it on. It was on both our Twitter at HorrorZone607 and our Facebook page HorrorZone607. Just a cheap plug there. And I sent it in our group text to each other, and I go, and Mike was like, another one? And like in my head I'm like, man, he sounds annoyed about this, but this looks really good. I'm like, give him some time to read this article. And then like you must have read the article because like an hour later you started messaging back like, this looks good.
It does, and at the same time I have a little bit of concern with it too. And again, I've made this comment about the Halloween 2018 movie, and it's one of the things that kind of bothered me about it. It looks, from the synopsis, the more I thought about it, it sounds like it's another Me Too movement, women's empowerment statement that it's going to make. I get that the first remake, The Black Christmas, although it's a fun movie, it was very underwhelming compared to the original. There was stuff that they put in it to make it different that ended up hurting it. This sounds like it's going to be a completely different movie. It sounds like it's going to basically be, when you think of originals to remakes, The House on Sorority Row versus Sorority Row. They had similarities, but they were completely different movies. Prom Night versus Prom Night. Same kind of thing. Completely different movies.
But that might not be the bad thing. This might actually be a good movie. Here's my statement, though. I think it's a weird, and I understand why you don't like Halloween 2018, and it has nothing to do with the women empowerment thing is why you don't like the movie.
No,
you don't like the movie because of a lot of other things. Because I was going to say, that would be a bad argument for anybody to make in horror, because think about it. Women empowerment is what horror movies are.
Right.
The final girl is a thing and has been a thing since the 1970s.
Right, but it seems like they're going overboard with the statement on this just based on the synopsis.
Yes and no. Once again, the synopsis is going to just be an overview until we see a trailer, which we haven't yet. We just have seen a poster.
An article.
The poster was what launched. The poster was what launched the article.
Yeah,
and in the article was a synopsis, but the poster was what the first peek. Which the poster looks amazing. A sharpened candy cane, the blood dripping off of it. Oh, that's really cool. But it also, it's being done by Blumhouse. which is you can't understate that. They've
Right.
done nothing but hit home runs, and I understand you don't like Halloween 2018, but the majority of people did. And not only did they like it, they also went to the theaters in droves, and it was the highest opening weekend for a horror movie in the history of horror, over $80 million. So I mean, it's Blumhouse has found a secret somehow. I mean, most movies that they've come out, with the exception, this was really disappointing, with the exception of Happy Death Day 2U, the sequel to Happy Death Day. They've done nothing but hit home runs in the theater as far as box office returns.
Right.
Which was really disappointing because Happy Death Day 2U is actually a really fun and good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I know you liked it as well.
Oh, yeah, very much so. I'll just read the synopsis really quick here. In the new film, Hawthorne College is quieting down for the holidays. One by one, sorority girls on campus are being killed by an unknown stalker. Okay, sounds similar enough, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be in a sorority house this time. It sounds like it's just going to be on a campus, so big change from the original and the remake. But the killer is about to discover that this generation's young women aren't willing to become hapless victims as they mount a fight to the finish. So that's the synopsis. To me, it just sounds like it's going to be same name, completely different movie. But
yes and no. But that's kind of, honestly, that's, if you really take the synopsis and of course you put the 2019, if you will, quote unquote, woke language to it.
Yeah.
That's how you would describe the synopsis of the original. Without giving it away. Like if you were to describe the original movie, you could actually use that, think about it, to describe the original movie without giving it away. Right. Because really once again, I don't necessarily like the language that gets used a lot these days. I don't like the political stance behind it because I feel like entertainment should be entertainment. I've gone into this ad nauseum, so I'm not going to sit on the soapbox again. Sorry, listeners. I'm sure I'll get on it again another time. So I don't like all that. But I will say this. Horror movies, for the most part, have been women empowerment since the 1970s. Like I said, the final girl has been a thing. It's not the final guy. I mean, occasionally we get one, which is weird.
And again, I want to make it clear. I'm all for the Me Too movement. I'm all for women's empowerment. It's not that I'm not. It's the political statement and the forced things, that they're making in these, everything's a political statement. Like Jordan Peele's movies. It's always some kind of a political statement he's making. I don't want to see that. I want to just enjoy a movie. I want to see something enjoyable, and maybe it will be.
I just want to point out, just like Jordan Peele's movies, though, he does a good job of making that secondary. You understand it's underlying, but the movie is still entertaining.
Right, and I love his movies.
It's not didactic. And that's why I said I judge slowly on this, because just from the synopsis, it's just the 2019 version of writing the same synopsis that you would write about the movie from the 1980s, or even the remake that came out in the early 2000s. You would write that similar synopsis now because it's just a language that people use, unfortunately, whether we like it or not. And it is to stay with political correctness. Once again, it's not that I'm against these things, but I like to be entertained as well. I will judge slowly because I will wait till the movie comes out to judge it. Because how I look at it is, if the movie comes out and the political statement, when I see this movie, if the political, or even the trailers, if it looks like that political statement is going out of control, I'm going to be like, yeah, I have no interest in this movie.
Right.
Whereas if it's like, oh, okay, well, they're just kind of doing this, but it looks like a true on point horror film, then I'm in, and I will go with that. And that's why I said even your detractions of Halloween 2018 had nothing to do with the women empowerment. You didn't really care about that, because that part of the story actually was actually the better part of that story.
And it was, and I think that had a lot to do with the positive reviews with it. Right. So I to me, I think that's why it got a bigger what's the word I'm looking for? Positive,
It got an over. Why the score is
critical
inflated?
Acclaim.
Why it's inflated? Why it's critically acclaimed? Because people
that
like that part. But that was,
like
I said, that was the best part of that story.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I that's why I gave it middle of the road. When people are always like, "Why didn't you give it higher?" I'm like, it's middle of the road. The only reason it got middle of the road for me is because I like some of the kills in the movie. Because that's, at the end of the day, if you give me a couple of awesome kills, I'm going to be like, okay, this gets a good score. So that's why I gave it a 5.5. It was a 5, then I gave it a 5.5 upon second watch, because I was like, hey, you know what? The kills were actually pretty cool. Even the ones that happened in the background, you could still kind of see them, and they were kind of cool. I like that stuff. And then, like I said, the story, that's where it fell apart, was the overall story. They should have gone in the normal direction of the story. The women empowerment part was fine. You could have left all of that in, but in that middle part is where they kind of dropped the ball. There was a lot of stuff that happened for no reason, like the doctor turning for no reason, the fact that the boyfriend, who now they're like, well, he'll come in a part in the second one. Well, why don't we do it up now? You show that he's a dick. Why didn't he get killed instead of the creepy friend? Or both of them could have gotten killed. There's no reason to keep him around unless when they do the sequel to it, he's some kind of integral part to the actual story, which then I'll apologize for that.
Right.
But unless he's an integral part of the sequel, then fuck him. He should have died. And
right.
There's my F-bomb for the show. Because
Fist bump.
So there, honestly, I'm kind of like that. But that was my problem with the film. That's why it didn't get a high grade for me. I didn't give it as low as you, but I also give it a middle of the road because it was entertaining by kills and the story lost me. But with this movie, maybe it'll be different. Like I said, I'm going to judge slowly until I see the first trailer.
Yeah, and I should be that way too. I don't want to go into it with this, this hatred, before I know anything about it other than what's on paper. Just from the synopsis, it sounds like it's going to be just on a campus and, that sort of a thing. One of the big characters in the original movie that made it so good, that brought on the tension, that brought on the suspense, was the house itself. It was a mansion, but it felt so confined and so claustrophobic because everything happened inside of the house.
Right.
This sounds like it's going to be open world.
A little more spread out. But, there's something to be said about that because I've always thought that some of the creepier stuff happens in places you think are safe spots. So I'm going to wait to see where the locations overall. Because, if they're in a room where there's a bunch of people and there's killing going on, I feel like those are the creepier ones only because you feel safe usually when people are around. So when that gets taken away as a human being, you're like, that's messed up.
Yeah.
And you know what the real bad part is? We've done all of this talking about it, and it's a good concept. We haven't even given you the big news about who's starring in the movie yet.
Yeah, actually, two big names. There's been some casting news, but the two big names. First of all, Imogen Poots is going to be the main actress in the movie.
Yeah, probably the final girl-ish, if you will.
I would imagine so. And if you don't know her, she's a great British actress. She's been in a lot more movies lately. Probably, I would say her most well-known movie up to this point was the sequel to 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later,
yes.
where she played the older sister of the little kid.
Yep.
So she's an up-and-coming actress. She's doing really well. Great actress. So I'm excited to see her. I'm hoping that she plays the Olivia Hussey
And I was going to say,
character.
I think it's interesting they're doing a British casting because with the second person who's also British.
Yeah, Carrie Elwes has been announced as of today.
Of course, Saw and The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Amongst other things.
Robin Hood Men in Tights. Let's not forget that.
I said amongst other things. He's been in a lot. I love me some Carrie Elwes.
Yeah, Carrie Elwes is great. So for two big names in the movie. So, we'll see where it goes.
Like I said,
more as it comes.
Judge slow. When we see the trailer, we will have a better understanding. That comes to us in December, correct?
Yes, it's supposed to be here this December. So December 13th.
They I didn't know it was happening. They announced it, and then we're like, yeah, December 19th, and we're just like, wow, you're putting together a movie that quick? It hasn't even shot yet.
Yeah.
But hey, they're probably going to do a 30-day shoot probably and then edit and we're good. Hey, I like I said, I love what Blumhouse is doing. Blumhouse is doing the Lord's work as far as horror movies go. So keep on keeping on. It's like Kevin Feige. It's like Kevin Feige over there with Marvel.
Right.
Jason Blum is doing that with horror. So I'm all for whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like I said,
the timing on it, we'll see if it's going to be direct to Netflix or theater. Hopefully it goes to theaters.
But what do you guys think about Black Christmas? And of course about Dr. Sleep? We want to hear from you. I mentioned a little earlier, but we might as well do it again here. Facebook, Horror Zone 607. Like our page, share our page, communicate with us there because we'd love to hear from you guys. If you guys are already liking and sharing, that's awesome. Could you rate and review for us because that would really help out as well. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Horror Zone 607 to join the horror conversation. For all social media, use hashtag HZ607. We are going to take a brief break, and then we have more horror news coming your way.
welcome back to the Zone. So we talked so much in the first segment just about the two biggest pieces of news. We've got much more news to bring you guys this week. So the whole second segment is more news.
That's awesome. There's a lot going on this week. This was actually big week.
Big week.
It was a big week. There was a lot of cool stuff that came out of it. Obviously, as you could tell from the first segment, a lot of stuff that needs a lot of unpacking, which is good. I love it. Sometimes it's a slow week. Sometimes it's a busy week. What do we got next? Because I can't wait to talk about more.
Well, I'm glad you asked, because breaking news today, Blumhouse and Paramount have announced there is a new Paranormal Activity in development.
In development, awesome. I wonder if Katie Featherston is in it.
Yeah, there hasn't been any really news about it other than it's going to be made. So I know she's a good friend of yours, a dear old friend of yours.
Yes, for those of you who didn't know, I'm sure because I talk about it because it was kind of an awesome day in my life. At Scaricon last year at Turning Stone Casino, I got a surprise guest, if I will. I wasn't originally supposed to host the panel. I did the Nightmare on Elm Street panel, and I did a Jeepers Creepers panel that I hosted with some celebrities. And the person who was, Jonathan Breck himself. And of course, I love to name drop this to you because you always kick yourself in the ass because you had something else to do that day. But I was on stage with Ken Sagos, Lisa Zane, and also Amanda Wiss from Nightmare on Elm Street. So pretty awesome. So I was leaving for my gig from doing the Jeepers Creepers, which was supposed to be my last panel to host for the day. And I got stopped by the promoter and was like, hey, somebody didn't show up for the Paranormal Activity conversation. Would you like to go do that? And he was with Katie Featherston. I said, yeah, sure, why not? So I ran across this big room and I met her briefly. We talked for maybe 2 minutes. We went up on stage together. And actually, honestly, she's one of the most amazing people I met to talk to. I literally was just me and her, like me and you doing it. It might as well have been a podcast in front of 300 people. 300 plus people. Yeah, because we were just sitting there and we just were talking back and forth, and it was a fun time. I mean, if I had anybody to do a podcast with besides you, Mike, I would pick her probably. Well, only because it was kind
I'm
of
honored
good,
just to be mentioned.
I prefer to do it with you, and if she would join and be our third seat, we could have her replace Ron.
We could see if we can reach out to her representatives.
I mean, I can't pay, but
no, I think she'd
maybe
do it for free.
Maybe the friendship we bonded that day, and she would do it for free.
Maybe she'll move to Binghamton.
I hope so much that she is involved because she's really nice and hey, she was telling some great stories. I got to hear some great stories about how they came up with the original concept because it was very much in-house when they did the original Paranormal Activity. What you see is what you get. The actors actually were part of the production. They were writing on the spot. Actors, directors, producers, since it was such a small knit group, she was telling about how the camaraderie was. And of course, now it's gotten to be a bigger juggernaut in the world of horror, but I think that's still there. Maybe they could tap into it. We'll see what they're going to do. I didn't even know this was coming out.
Yeah, it just kind of broke out of nowhere today. Now, there's not a whole lot of news. There's nothing to announce. There's no synopsis. There's no people that have been announced that are going to be in the film. There's no director. None of that has been announced yet. We just know that it's coming. Hopefully, I kind of hope that they go in a different direction and kind of reboot it almost a little bit at this point.
Go back to the original instead
something
of
along those lines.
What they've gone down the stream of.
Yeah, I think that they've kind of beat the original story to death at this point. The Ghost Dimension, of course, was the last one to come out in 2015. Can't believe it's been 4 years already since that came out. As most people know, that was very, very poorly received.
Hence why it was probably killed the franchise until now.
Yeah, I mean, and it was supposed to be the last one anyway, but we know how that goes in horror. But it'll be interesting. I kind of hope that they just reboot it all together and just start with a whole new family, a whole new story, and kind of just make something. Go back to basics. Don't go over the top.
Speaking of ending franchises, that's how we ended up with Freddy's Dead.
And there's the reference of the week.
Every time I get it in there.
Well, so until we got more news, on that, I just wanted to get that out there.
We'll be keeping our eye on it, and you guys will be the first to know. Just make sure you're checking us out on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have it up there as soon as we know more. Are we excited for the announcement that another Amityville Horror movie is being made?
Another one?
Another one. This one is going to
just come out with one?
Yes, and that one dealt with the DeFeo murders, which was what happened in real life in the house before the Lutzes moved in and told their story of the Amityville Horror.
Okay.
So what is the new one going to be? It's going to be called Amityville 1974, and get this, it deals with the DeFeo murders.
So they're putting out another movie about a movie that they put out this year.
Yes. Are we excited?
I wasn't excited for the DeFeo murders one that came out this year. So I'm not excited for Amityville 1974. Actually, I've never been excited for an Amityville movie, period.
I do love the original, and I really like the original sequel, which was kind of a prequel as well. Even though it didn't deal with the DeFeos, it was kind of like a loose interpretation of the DeFeos. I like those two movies. That's about where it ends for me.
That's fine, but in this day and age where we have The Conjuring, and that's pretty much the only, like, the gold standard of haunted house movies, which, you know, I don't like haunted house movies, but I deal with The Conjuring movies just because they're good. They do a good job in that universe. I don't think that I honestly don't think you can bring that weak lame sauce that is the Amityville in.
Yeah,
I think it really is kind of weak lame sauce. You might as well wait until they hit that portion of the Conjuring series, and then we'll get a good Amityville movie.
Yeah, and they kind of touched on it with The Conjuring 2 in the beginning. That's how they started it. But I would almost rather see an Amityville horror movie
in the Conjuring universe.
The Conjuring universe.
Well, didn't they kind of ended the first one that way too? Because didn't they say they were going to Long Island? They mentioned they were going to Long Island,
and then that's how they opened the second one. So it was just an opening scene. It didn't really do much.
Throwaway line at the end of the one, and opening scene in the other one. I think that's the smart bet. I will get excited. I'm going to say it here on the show. I'm saying it today. That today is actually June the 19th, 2019. I will get excited about an Amityville movie when it's the Conjuring whatever number Amityville Horror. Until then, I don't give a damn. And they're already doing a movie that I didn't care about this year that's already out that I didn't see because it did not interest me at all. And they're going to do the same movie. What is it coming out the end of this year or next year? Whenever it comes out, it's going to come out less than a year after a movie about the same exact thing from another studio came out. So what sense does it make? And obviously that other movie didn't make a ton of money. I could look it up, but I'm not even going to waste my time.
It looked horrible. So, I wouldn't have a problem with it if it's going to be, if it's well done, because the last one looked like complete and utter rubbish.
I'm sure when the trailer comes out, we will look at the trailer and we'll talk about that. I'm sure when the movie comes out or closer to come out, we'll talk about it again. And maybe if it piques enough interest, we might actually just see it. This last one looked like a complete train wreck and I had no interest, and that's why I haven't seen it. Sorry if anybody's out there has seen the latest Amityville. What was it? Do you even remember what it was called? I don't even think it was called an Amityville movie. Was it? It was.
I think it was, but I can't even remember.
Anyways,
it was that.
If you've seen it, it was the DeFeo murders. Anyways, if you saw it, let us know. Horrorzone 607 on Facebook, at Horrorzone 607 on Twitter. Let us know how you felt about it. If somebody reaches out and says, hey, you guys should give it a watch, I'll give it a watch. Until then, I'm not. Once again, we'll cover this when it comes in and keep you in the loop, because that's what we do here in Horrorzone. Not excited about it. Once again, you heard it here first. Richard, have said that as soon as it says The Conjuring Amityville Horror, I will be in. Until then, I'm not in. Sorry.
Well, I know what you are excited about. The Banana Splits movie.
Oh, actually, I am.
Did anybody see this trailer?
First of all, I want to point out how lucky we were that at the end of last week's episode that I had to put it in there, it was breaking as we were recording, that this was going to happen. The following day, the trailer hits.
Oh, and what a trailer that was.
And first of all, there's blood. There's piles of bodies. There's definitely the Banana Splits.
Yeah.
They're animatronic, it looks like. The one gets his face knocked off. It looks like the Terminator. Scary and creepy as all hell. How about the guy that's the tinkerer, if you will, the guy that's like engineer? He's creepy as hell. I'm sure he has something to do with it. So if you guys didn't see the trailer, if you didn't, check out our page on Facebook and Twitter. Once again, we definitely put them up because we were definitely into it. So the trailer, I'll take you through a quick synopsis and we'll talk about it just briefly. So basically, it opens this woman her son's birthday. She happens to be a producer for the Banana Splits. She decides that she's going to take her whole family to her job for his birthday. They're going to go to see the Banana Splits live. The Banana Splits, if you guys don't know, was in the late 60s and early 70s. It was a TV show for kids, live action. So it was one of those fun time
like a
shows.
Muppet Show type
so
thing.
People would go and take their families, and there was real studio audience. In real life, they weren't animatronics; they were people under the suits, and you could tell there's people under the suits in the trailer. Let's be honest. But as this trailer goes on, you find out when she gets to work that they're canceling the Banana Splits. Oh no, you can't do that. You cannot do that. And then all hell breaks loose in carnage, and the lights go out in the trailer, and their eyes are glowing red Terminator style, and then you see blood. And you see bodies, and you know that there's kids and women and fathers in the audience, so you know that this is not good at all. It's crazy.
Being murdered by
the Banana Splits. So mind you, the Banana Splits is not a horror concept. It was a children's variety show from the late 60s, early 70s. And how do they choose to make this movie? the most epic way possible. And it's an official The Banana Splits movie.
Yes.
It's officially a Banana Splits movie. Like, that's the kicker. So somebody is making it a horror film with the official licensing of The Banana Splits. I think this is amazing. To whoever owns the rights to The Banana Splits to let this happen,
bravo.
And I'm not doing this to like make fun of you. That is amazing that you would let this happen.
You know,
I think this is a great concept. It's too bad that this is not going to be in theaters.
Yeah, it's going straight to sci-fi again, kind of like Leprechaun, I believe.
I think it's straight to sci-fi, straight to DVD stream.
Yeah, it's going to be streaming.
Released on.
Yeah, it'll be available on digital on August 13th and on DVD and Blu-ray on August 27th. I do believe at some point it's going to be shown
on sci-fi as well. But you know, I
hopefully
bet
it's better than Leprechaun Returns.
Dude, it's got to be just from the commercial.
It looks epic.
Oh man,
you know, there's two things in my life, two places I wish that I could be sitting in on you know, the production. Family Guy, I would just love to be a fly on the wall and be one of the people that throws out ideas for the stuff that they put on that show. And now this, whoever pitched this, you know, what can we do? Let's come up with something.
Oh, you just want to be there different. For the pitch?
Yeah,
I was gonna say you would about to be on set for whatever.
Anybody
movie.
got any ideas on what we could do to make a horror movie? Something different.
I was gonna say I thought your second answer was gonna be whatever Crystal Reed was doing.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be a show if we didn't discuss her.
I'm trying to hit all the spots.
You know what? She's unemployed currently. Maybe we can get her in the studio.
Yeah, hopefully that'd be
she
good.
can discuss all things Swamp Thing with us.
I did get the cable so we could start toying around with having interviews over the phone and computer and all this stuff. So you know,
I'd like to ask her about Gotham.
We're upgrading.
Yeah, we are. We will be.
You know, as long as she wasn't involved in that Allison Mack stuff, because then Derek would just take over the conversation.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Yeah,
no. It's a good thing he's not on Horror Zone.
Yeah, it's a good thing he's scared of all horror movies.
One other movie trailer that we watched, we were watching actually in our studio right before we came on the air. There's a new movie that's going to be out called Ready or Not. Why don't you take us through that, Rich?
Oh man! First of all, eventually we have to do something for like Patreon. I've said this before. Once we get everything set up in the studio, we do stuff with cameras and stuff. We have to do something for Patreon because I feel like it's worth something to see what we do when we're doing production meetings. We're watching this, and we were both getting amped for this show. Like going into this show, we're like, oh man, I'm a little tired today. Oh man, we watched this trailer again. Mind you, this is the second time I saw the trailer. It was the first time Mike saw the trailer. And I was like, this is amazing. This has got me pumped to want to talk. So Ready or Not is I'll take you through the synopsis of the trailer. We did put the trailer up on, once again, Twitter and Facebook, as I do with a lot of these things that come out. So check it out when you get time. You can also find it on YouTube as well. So just check it out, the trailer, because it's definitely a worthwhile watch. So this trailer starts off as a wedding. This young lady is getting married, and she marries into this family, and she can't wait to be part of the family. And part of the tradition of this family is that once you marry into this family, you have to come over for a game night, and they play a game at midnight, and it lasts all night. And that sounds odd, doesn't it? Well, it gets better. You have to draw a card out of this box, and whatever the card is whatever game you play. And she just happens to draw hide and seek. So the rules of this game are simple. She has to hide, and they have to find her. And that's what she thinks that's going to happen. Well, as soon as she leaves the room to hide, they start pulling out weapons while they count. And when I mean weapons, I'm talking crossbows, shotguns, axes, like medieval-looking axes. Harpoon, I think. There was a lot. There was
a harpoon, I believe.
A lot of hardware, if you will. And so she figures out real quick once she sees the maid get it. In the trailer, you see the maid get it, and it leads to the funny statement from one of the family members going, "You couldn't tell the difference between the maid and her?" And they're like, "Well, I couldn't tell. I just shot." She was like, "The bride is in a white wedding gown. You couldn't tell the difference." So it feels like a tongue-in-cheek moment there, and I thought that was cool, but trust me, it is carnage. At one point in juncture, you see the bride, she is just soaked in blood and laughing. Like things are happening, man. It was crazy. It is a slasher through and through. I can't wait to see this movie just from the trailer. And it's starring somebody that people should be familiar with.
Yeah, Samara Weaving is actually going to be starring. She's the daughter of the great Hugo Weaving, who was in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Mm-hmm. He played Agent Smith in the Matrix movies. Great actor. She is the daughter.
And she was also in that great Netflix movie, The Babysitter.
Yes, she was. And I'll tell you what, she's somebody to watch. 'Cause she's a force. She is the next big scream queen.
She looked good in this trailer. The trailer overall has me pumped. Mike, when does this movie come out?
This movie will be hitting theaters on August 23rd, so not too far off.
And it says it's in theaters. I will be going to see this movie.
Yeah, I'd be there too. This one had me pumped the second I watched it.
Check out the trailer. Hashtag ready or not. Trust me, this movie is going to... It just looks epic. If you see the trailer and you don't think it looks epic, I don't know. I tell me why you don't think it's epic. That'd be a good conversation to have with somebody. But we both thought it would look really good, and hopefully it is really good. This could be the next launching of a great franchise.
Boy, I hope so.
At least one whole hell of a carnage-filled movie.
Yeah, it definitely will be.
So is that all for the news this week, Mike?
That's all we got.
We finally tapped out of the news.
We are tapping out.
I was kind of shocked there. That was a lot. So once again, if you want to talk about anything that we covered or tell us why we're right, wrong, any different, you know how to get a hold of us on Facebook, Horror Zone 607. Like our page, share our page, rate and review our page, and most importantly, talk to us because we'd like to hear from you. And also, if you're on Twitter and Instagram, we're on there too at Horror Zone 607 for all the social medias to join our conversation. Use the hashtag HZ607, and we are going to take one more break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking some horror, and Mike's been kind of tight-knit what he's going to be doing to me here.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit, I'll give you a hint, a little rapid fire.
Ooh, some rapid fire. So you know what that means. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to The Zone. So a few months back, we did a segment on the show before the movie Us came out. Jordan Peele did an interview where he kind of did a rapid fire question, and I basically took the same questions and I asked the guys in the studio the same questions. I think I added in a couple similar things, but it's kind of a short segment that we did, but we had fun doing it. So I figured, why don't we do that again? I got some more questions this week, and I just kind of want to. Rich didn't even know I was going to do this until
I have
we
no
walked
preparation
in.
at all. I don't know the questions, so you're going to get my 100% honest, on the spot answers because I'm being serious. I don't know anything.
He doesn't. He really doesn't. Other than I gave him the hint, rapid fire. So we might as well get started with this right now. I'm just going to ask you a question and just think about it and give me the first answer that comes to your mind.
All right.
So question number 1. Favorite horror movie director?
Oh, that's easy. Wes Craven.
See, I love Wes Craven. I very politely disagree. John Carpenter. John Carpenter is my idol.
I love John Carpenter. Of course, my favorite horror movie of all time is Halloween. I'm such a fan of Craven's work. Last House on the Left was amazing. Hills Have Eyes was amazing. Of course, Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite overall franchise of all time. I always talk about that. I even like some of his lesser well-known work. The Mangler.
Mangler's great.
Which most people don't give that due, and it's great. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is not technically... I understand people put that in a Freddy movie. It's not. It's its own movie, and I think that movie...
That was a brilliant
conceptually,
movie.
that movie is probably the best work of Freddy since the original.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's just my
Scream.
honest opinion. Of course, once again, most people only have one franchise to their name, and Wes Craven has two with Scream. And we're on the precipice of doing a reboot of Scream at some point in juncture here. We were talking about that last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, that lives on, and he's done so much other stuff. There's a bunch of other smaller things he was a part of, whether anthology series or just chiming in with producing and production. He's launched a lot of careers. That's why my personal... I can agree with you on John Carpenter as well, though.
Yeah, Carpenter, it's the basically the atmosphere and the suspense that he created, mostly his early stuff, but you got Halloween, you got The Fog, you got Halloween 2, although he didn't direct it, he just wrote it and produced it. You've got Halloween 3, same thing, didn't direct it, but he was involved in the writing and production of it. You've got Prince of Darkness, you've got, how could I forget, The Thing.
I was going to say,
so
you're
many.
almost like They Live also.
They Live.
But when
so
you said,
many good
when you
ones.
said, when you kept going on and you didn't say The Thing, I was like, and there's no love for The Thing around here?
One of the greatest movies ever made.
He did Village of the Damned too, right?
Yes, he did. Little underwhelming with that, but he still did it.
Still,
Christine,
yeah,
who could forget Christine? Another great one. So
he's definitely had a. Once again, I would say
he had a great run.
There's only a few people in rarefied air, like that. You have Carpenter, you have Craven, you have probably George Romero. You'd have to throw in there just because obviously
Toby Hooper.
The whole thing. Toby Hooper would be in there for sure. Mike Flanagan's on his way.
James Wan too.
James Wan is on his way. Jordan Peele's on his way.
Yeah.
These guys have to do a little more, but they're on their way as far as horror legends. Stephen King in the writing aspects on his way because he's written a lot of great things.
He's already
been adapted into movies, but they've been adapted. He's only directed one movie, and we didn't bring it up earlier, but there was
Why don't
something.
you tell us about that?
There
Rich?
was something on Bloody. The only movie that Stephen King has ever directed was a movie called Maximum Overdrive. If anybody has seen it, it's great.
It's great. All right,
it's great. It's great for a laugh. One night I would love to do a movie night here at the shop, probably to bring to the masses Maximum Overdrive because it just deserves that.
We should probably all be drunk and maybe bring cocaine for people that like to use cocaine.
We'll get to that in a second. Bloody Disgusting did a little article. It was like everybody's so impressed about the Dr. Sleep trailer. It's not even Stephen King's greatest trailer, Maximum Overdrive. It is not Stephen King's. We watched the two of them. It is a little fun little tongue in cheek article by Bloody Disgusting, which I love when they do those things. But if you want to get a feeling of how Maximum Overdrive is, there's a podcast called How Did This Get Made? It's done by Jason Mantzoukas and why am I drawing a blank now? He played Andre on The League, and I'm drawing a blank.
Never saw it.
Anyways, continuing on because I just don't want to. I'm not going to look it up. Sorry, but anyways, just check it out. You can find it anywhere. It's called How This Get Made. They just kind of riff on like bad movies, and they did an episode about Maximum Overdrive. And Jason Mantzoukas pretty much summed it up as they were arguing about why that you would do some of the stupid things that happen in this movie. Mantzoukas chimed in early and goes, "I'll give you the reason why. Cocaine is why." He was like, Stephen King was addicted to coke at that time. He was big on saying that he was binging on coke. So Coke thought it was a great idea, so it was a good idea for the movie. If you know anything, Maximum Overdrive was a short story. And when I mean short story, it was literally 3 paragraphs long that Stephen King had written for a magazine, and he turned it into an hour-and-a-half movie.
And he doesn't remember making any of it.
Yes, and he was the director. It's the only time he's ever directed, and thank the Lord. But he's definitely written some stuff that has come into play after.
All right, well, we'll move on to question number 2 here. That's enough about cocaine and Maximum Overdrive for that matter.
Yeah, I think I've talked about Maximum Overdrive for longer than it deserves to be talked about.
I would agree with that 100%.
Although it does have Emilio Estevez.
It really does. It had some good actors in that movie.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know it. Question number 2, favorite subgenre.
Favorite subgenre. We all know slasher.
Yeah,
slasher is my favorite subgenre. I by far that's my wheelhouse. I love that. I'll go a little step further. My second favorite subgenre is the psychological thriller.
Okay.
I like a good whodunit. I like it when the killer is shrouded in mystery. That happens in the slasher world sometimes. So that there you go, kind of connected there. But even when they're not, like a movie like brings to mind Copycat, Sigourney Weaver.
That was a good movie.
It was a great movie. And
Harry
if you haven't seen
Connick Jr.
Yes, if you haven't seen Copycat, that is the definition of great psychological thriller.
Yeah, it really is.
The movie Seven, obviously.
Yeah.
No, you kind of know what's going on. Silence of the Lambs. Even in those two movies, you kind of know who the killer is, so it's not who done it, but it's still a psychological thriller. Those movies are all that's my kind of jam. That and slasher films. I'm all about carnage.
Well, everybody knows that the slasher is my favorite subgenre. People in Algeria know that.
Oh, absolutely.
People I've never met. So, and what are we up to in Algeria? I believe that we're like the 347th.
347th.
We're working our way up.
3 spots.
We will come to Algeria if we become the #1 most downloaded podcast in Algeria.
Absolutely, that's my challenge.
That is my promise to Rich, Ron, Luke, Rave, everybody here at Horror Zone 607, but mostly the people of Algeria.
And we're all coming. It's all of us.
The whole group is coming. I'm paying for it all. Question number 4, least favorite subgenre.
Haunted house movies, as we know.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. I separate them in their own subgenre because I know that they can be different things. I'm just not a fan of haunted house movies. I do have a soft spot sometimes for like possession movies. Like I love The Exorcist. I know you hated The Exorcist. I love
it's
The
not that I hated
it. That's the weird part. When I know other people like you who are scared of The Exorcist, and I'm not scared of The Exorcist. Like it doesn't. I like the movie. It's a good art. It's a good art piece horror movie.
Yeah.
But I'm just not scared of it. So I don't really count that as a haunted house movie. I count that as a possession movie.
Right.
I would too. The other movie that but most of them, like the Amityville Horror movies, never got into them. The Haunting in Connecticut never got into it.
So bad.
Like movies like that. The only one that I got into is The Conjuring and its sequel. Yeah. I dug those, but that's because the story was really good. Those are borderline more of a psychological thriller in my mind than they are a haunted house story, because there's more substance, if you will, to the story than there is. And actually, the first one's a kind of a possession movie, anyways.
Yeah, it more or less is. I mean, that's basically the background of the story, anyway. Yeah. So what's going on?
What's your least favorite?
My least favorite is actually vampires. No interest in vampire movies. Never have. Zombies is a close second, although there's a couple of good zombie movies. I'm just not a big fan of that genre. But vampire movies, I've never been a fan of.
I'm also not a fan of torture porn.
Yeah, I don't like those
I've never been
either,
a big Hostel fan.
Although I was a huge fan of the Saw series.
Yeah, but that's different. And once again, I love somebody will be like, well, you're nitpicking. I am, but it is a little different. There was actually a storyline.
There was a great storyline.
There was a storyline throughout the Saw. Now, mind you, they do get off track sometimes, but there's a good storyline. I mean, think about it. It is a slasher film. Saw is more a slasher film than it is a torture porn film. I understand that there is interesting ways of people dying, but here's the prime. The story is that these people deserve it. These people were taking life for granted and doing really dumb things when this person's life is going to end. That's the whole basis of the story. And instead of killing them, they're kind of killing themselves.
Right, they are. And, here's my thing, and I've said this before, probably on the show, I can't remember. You've got your series like A Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, where basically you can come into any of those movies as a non-fan, never have seen them, and you could watch any of them, just pick it up, and you pretty much, you can watch them out of order and get what's going on. The Saw movies, if you decided, I've never seen these, I'm going to start with Saw 5, you wouldn't know what was going on. It is from episode 1 through episode 7. We'll leave Jigsaw out of it because it was kind of its own thing. It was technically the 8th film in the series, but it kind of told its own story in a way. I mean, it was revolved around it. But 1 through 7 was one continuous story. Mm-hmm. You had to watch them in order to understand everything that was going on. So I love the continuity factor to it. I really respect that about that
The other
series.
movie that I like that would be, some people might consider torture porn, but I don't, is the Final Destination movies.
Oh, those are great.
Those are great tongue-in-cheek and great deaths, but that's not torture porn. Nobody can torture.
Those are close to slashers.
I'm talking about Hostel. I'm talking about Human Centipede. I'm talking about that ilk, where it's just like disgusting. Actually, you could even take it further than torture porn. Like Cannibal Holocaust, we talked about in the 1980s movie.
The Turkish movie.
There's a whole bunch of movies like that. I just can't dig, man. I'm not a fan.
The Notebook is the worst one.
Yeah. I don't like gore for the sake of gore. I don't, I like once again, I'm a slasher fan. I like blood, I like guts, I like gore. So it's not like I'm squeamish, but I want something substantive to it. I don't want just I don't want the whole point of the movie is like, okay, I'm going to take a drill to somebody's eyeball.
I agree with you.
All right. Well, that leaves us in a great, interesting spot.
And that's why I hated Hostel.
By the way, and it doesn't scare me because like Ron, I know Ron gets scared of the Hostel movies, and I'm like, it doesn't scare me. He's like, well, they could happen. I'm like, I don't give a damn if they could happen. Texas Chainsaw Massacre could happen too, but the difference between Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hostel is that I would be scared of a character like Leatherface because crazy exists. These people are just drilling people for the sake of it because they have money. The whole subplot of that movie is basically the rich are killing people off for sport. And it's
exactly.
So it goes into that political assessment, only taking it over the top. And that's saying something bad because I like Eli Roth because he's done some great stuff. Because I'm a huge fan of Cabin Fever. I always like Cabin Fever. I'm sorry if you didn't like Cabin Fever, that's fine. I understand there's you either love it or you hate it, but I love that movie. I thought it was a great movie. It was cutting edge for the time. It was different for the time, and I like Eli Roth as for the most part as a director. So
I have to agree with that. Next one, I believe that I said that was number 4. That was actually number 3.
That's fine.
I forgot number 3 because I wasn't paying attention to my notes here.
That's all right.
So we'll say this is number 4. Your favorite slasher movie of all time? I know the answer.
Well, the answer is Halloween, obviously. I've said that a bunch. Halloween's my favorite, but once again, because it's just such a one that I've answered so much, we'll go to number 2. Number 2 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and actually, the funny part is it's the remake. It's not the original.
Yeah, I went back and watched that again recently.
I love the original, but the remake with Jessica Biel from 2003. Yeah. Okay. See, thank you. I forgot what year it was, but yeah, that remake is phenomenal. If you don't like that remake, which I know there's a few out there, because so the original, that's one of the few remakes makes this super good. Now, mind you, it takes nothing away from the original. The original is still a great classic movie. I still will watch that movie. I still love that movie. The remake, though, is just that much more intense, that much more creepy. The atmosphere of the remake is crazy. That movie has you on the edge of your seat the whole damn time, and you know how the movie's going to end, and it still has you on the edge of your seat.
Dare I say, and do not take this the wrong way, fans. Do not take this the wrong way. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. It is definitely, in my opinion, the better of the two movies. So don't take what I'm about to say next wrong, but I say that the remake is actually a tighter film.
It is.
You've got the annoying character, I can't even remember the one guy's name, but he's just kind of like a sniveling little coward the whole time.
But you're waiting for him to die the whole time.
You are, but he kind of replaces Franklin from the original. Franklin was so goofy and so annoying in the original movie that, it kind of took away from it a little bit. The remake is a stronger, more suspenseful movie, and it's got a better atmosphere to it. I watched it again a couple of weeks ago. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and what a great I have to agree with you about
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
The original is the superior
original
film.
Once again, the original's it's tough to argue that. I'd say they're kind of on par with each other in their own way.
Yeah.
But I love the original too, but there's just something about the remake that was scarier to me than the original even.
Yeah.
Like I put it this way, I saw the remake in the theater. I came back to my friend's house because that's where we were hanging out, and we locked all the fucking doors.
Well, Leatherface was more menacing, I think, in the remake, and he was menacing in the original, but he was kind of just, you could tell he was off and just kind of mentally challenged in the original. In the remake, he's a menacing
remake,
figure.
He takes a butcher knife to the arm. She hacks his arm off, and he's still coming.
Yeah,
it's crazy, and he's not supernatural.
No.
It's crazy. It's a good movie. Jessica Biel was so good as a final girl in that movie.
She really was.
Once again, talking about women empowerment without having to just scream it from the rooftop. She is probably, actually, I'll go on the limb now that we're talking about it, probably the strongest female character in all of horror movies.
Well, that kind of leads me to question number 5. I'm glad you should say that, Rich, because number 5, all-time favorite final girl.
My all-time favorite final girl is Jamie Lee Curtis in multiple movies, especially Halloween. But I'd give a special shout out there to Jessica Biel because she was such a strong final girl. But yeah, my favorite once again, that's a surprise. I gave it a B already, but yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. What can you say? The original Scream Queen. She was a final girl in numerous movies.
Prom Night, Halloween. Terror Train.
Well, you got Halloween 2, then Prom Night, Terror Train. We can't really count
Trading Places. I believe she was the final girl.
Well, she was. You also get to see her topless in Trading Places.
You did.
Do you count her as a final girl in The Fog?
She survives it. It wasn't. There was a different kind of movie.
A final girl, but we could say
it wasn't a slasher movie.
She survived. We'll add it to it. We'll just puff her stance.
It wasn't a slasher movie, but it kind of was at the same time.
Yeah, but you know what? We'll inflate her numbers. So
yeah,
she was a final girl in that too. But yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. Who is yours, Mike?
Jenny Field from Friday the 13th Part 2 is my favorite.
Very good.
Yeah, played by the great Amy Steele.
Oh yeah,
who was also a final girl in another one of your favorite movies.
Yeah, actually, it's probably my second all-time favorite horror movie.
April Fool's Day.
Yeah, that's right. See,
right
at least you know. Yeah, it's
yeah.
Second favorite all time. Halloween number 1, April Fool's Day is number 2, and people are always like, how do you rank it that way? If you've never seen April Fool's Day, you wouldn't understand.
People that think that they're diehard horror fans that just dump on that movie, they're not true horror fans.
I'm sorry.
Is a brilliant movie.
We hate to make judgments about people, but that movie from start to finish is brilliant because, and once again, we are going to do it sooner than later. Within the next month, I'm making a movie night here at Dragon Master Games. We're going to do a movie night. We're going to watch April Fool's Day. I don't care if anybody shows up, but we will invite everybody. Trust me, I'll cast it out wide. If you live in the 607, please come because it's going to be a lot of fun. And then we can actually do a real live review of that damn movie because then finally Ron will see it. And I also want people to see it. And so if you haven't seen the movie, it's a great slasher movie. I dare say one of the best slasher movies, on par with all the greats as far as from start to right at the beginning of the end. It is a great slasher movie. And then it has the greatest twist ending of any movie of all time.
Agreed.
So it flips you upside down and you're just like, son of a bitch. And then before it ends, it has another ending.
It does. And to top it off, it has Biff Tannen.
Oh yeah, Biff Tannen's in it.
Biff Tannen is in it.
And you have twins.
You do.
You got Buffy and Muffy.
Buffy and Muffy. Some of the greatest character names ever in a movie.
Oh, trust me, it's so 1980s. And of course, you have Amy Steele, who's a great actress.
Yeah.
Who does regret
didn't do enough.
You know, the funny part is she does regret now not doing another Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th movie, which
I wish she would have. I wish she would have came back like it was in past. I heard there was rumors that she wasn't even going to get killed off in 3 if she came back.
really.
I heard there was a rumor floating around that the script said that she would maybe not be the survivor girl, but she was going to live longer than the other girls had lived.
Yeah, off air. I said this once before. We never talked about it. But off air, sometime I'm going to give you my pitch for a Friday the 13th movie that I think would be a great sequel to kind of bring it back to the original Paramount series. I'm not going to say it on the air because somebody's going to steal my idea and claim it as their own because it's that good of an idea, and I don't have a lot of those.
Let's work that up so we can pitch that to Hollywood. I mean, come on, somebody pitched the banana splits and it worked.
They did.
We should be
and
able
also
to pitch.
Lamageddon. Let's not forget that.
Lamageddon is the greatest movie of all time, but that's an indie film. Somebody put that together.
I don't even think it wasn't even a movie,
dude. In this day and age, with all these fan Friday the 13th movies, we might be able to make this happen.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. We'll talk afterwards.
We'll talk after.
We'll get that. We'll
get together. You have your people call my people.
We'll get those ideas out there.
All right. Question number 6. Subgenre we don't have enough of.
Subgenre we don't have enough. Well, the bad part about horror movies is that once you find something good, they usually beat the living hell out of it.
That's why I have a good
until
one.
It dies. You know what? Go first because I'm right now. I'm drawing a blank. Literally no. Because here's the problem. Once there's a good idea in Hollywood, it usually is beaten to the ground.
You know, the answer to this actually popped in my head before the question, and that's why I put this in here. Voodoo. You know, there was a lot of those.
Rainbow and the Serpent?
Yeah.
Serpent and the Rainbow.
Serpent and the Rainbow. The last one that I remember was The Skeleton Key with Kate Hudson, which was a little underwhelming, but it was an okay movie. I kind of like it.
The third story from the original Tales from the Hood.
Yeah.
The final story, if you will.
Yeah. It just, there wasn't enough of it. I think there was a lot of it more back in like the 40s and 50s. Do
you
and
count
stuff
Candyman?
Like that.
No, back in the 40s, back in the early heyday, golden age, you had Black Cat. There's a couple other ones, but Black Cat would probably be the
White Zombie.
White Zombie. Oh yeah, White Zombie too. Yeah, White Zombie and Black Cat would probably be the two biggest voodoo movies at the time.
Right, and they're creepy just because of the way they look. I don't know that they're really
Black
great.
Cat is starring Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
Now that you said that, voodoo is a good answer. Good answer because
there's not enough of it.
I picked The Serpent and the Rainbow as far as my pick for best voodoo movie, and that's just my opinion. You know what? Here it is, and it hasn't been beat too bad, and it's going to be kind of weird to unpack this because the slasher film is in general this kind of in a way. Good serial killer movies.
Okay.
And what I'm meaning like that is we haven't had a ton of them. Like most, like you would be like a slasher film is technically a serial killer movie in a way, yes. But usually a slasher film is dealing with some kind of crazy person or supernatural being, not dealing with somebody who is actually like. It was disappointing to me, the Ted Bundy movie. Because I wish it would have been this kind of a movie instead of the movie it became. Because it became more of like a true crime court drama movie instead of what this would be. You almost, what was it? What's the movie there? Story of a serial killer. It had
Henry, a portrait of a serial killer.
Yes. Something like that. That's like off the top of my head. That's one of them. There was also,
I believe that was a true story, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was too. The other one that comes to my head is they did one, and I can't remember the name of it. And it sucks to me. It starred the guy that plays on Criminal Minds. The guy that plays Reed on Criminal Minds was in it. And he's actually following around a guy who's a magician who's also a serial killer, and he's kind of giving him pointers on how to be a serial killer.
You know what? I saw that on recently, and I don't even know. I don't know the name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
Sorry, if you guys do out there. Once again, we're doing rapid fire, so I don't want to take up too much time. I'll get the name and I'll get it to you when it comes to me. But anyways, that was pretty good too, and it was interesting. But there's not, in my opinion, there's not enough like real kind of hardcore serial killer movies. Yes, slasher films are kind of that, but I mean, I would like something like, because I'm into that world of serial, and every time they do a serial killer movie about a real serial killer, it feels bad.
Flat.
Like Gacy was a bad one.
Because they try to overdo it.
Both Ted Bundy movies were horrible.
They over-dramatize them.
The movie was dumb. They're just so bad. I want to see and I understand you would have to do. I want to see a fake one because anything that's based on anybody who's based on a real character, they're not going to be able to do justice. Because
they over-dramatize it. They over-Hollywoodize it.
Not only that, but there's victims' families who are going to take offense to it. So what they need to do is they need to come up with a fake killer and do it that way. Natural Born Killers, I think, is the closest.
Maniac?
Yeah.
Although it's considered a slasher, I found it more like down the
You
avenue
know
of
what?
what you're talking about.
You know what? You could do that. Maniac, I could see that argument. But there's not a lot like Maniac. I would say Natural Born Killers would be on that end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something like, we need more of that. I love Natural Born Killers.
Right.
So then Henry Portrait of Serial Killer, that was also in that vein. Like, so it's a good mixture between a true crime story and a slasher film.
But they're also very uncomfortable films to watch.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm just saying, if you made it a true crime slasher merger, there's where you'd be. Because a slasher film doesn't have a true crime element to it.
Right.
Or it shouldn't, at least. And then, and the other doesn't. Maniac is close to that. I would say that would be good. And of course, probably the one that would be the top of the list would definitely be Natural Born Killers.
Okay.
So, like, something like that. I think we could use more of that. That would be my answer just coming off the top of the head.
Sounds good to me. All right, question number 7. The horror movie that you feel has the most profound effect on people.
Ooh,
And I've got the humdinger of them all, the king of them all, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
the original It miniseries.
Really?
And the reason I say that is because I know more people who are scared of clowns because of that movie.
Okay.
So I think that going from a profound, if a movie, and mind you, I don't find that movie to be that scary.
It scared me as a kid because I was like 10 when it came out.
Right, but a lot of people have developed a phobia of clowns based upon that movie. So I feel like that's how it's, in that way, I feel like that's profound. I mean, you could argue that for a lot of movies that have made people scared, but I think if you really balance out the people who are our age who are scared of clowns, usually it goes back to that movie.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, that's a great answer. So
Yeah.
I would see that. I can see your point on that. Mine is Jaws.
Yeah, I would have said that too. It's kind of the same reason.
Yeah, I have always said that that's the movie that's had the most profound effect on people because, it was made in 1975 or released in 1975, which is over 40 years ago. It's almost 45 years old at this point. And, you've got a movie that people that haven't even seen that movie, kids today that only know the name, are still afraid to go into the ocean because of that. You hear the music, you hear, everybody's afraid to go in the ocean because of that film. People are afraid of sharks to this day because of that film. I don't think that there would be as big, even just shark attacks you've been hearing about over the last couple of years that are the real life shark attacks. I don't think that really is what's driving the fear, and I think it's Jaws.
I would agree with that. So yeah, I think both answers are good for the same reason. Yeah.
I'd have to agree. Question number 8, and you're going to know my answer before you even answer yours. Greatest horror comedy of all time.
Ooh, greatest horror comedy of all time. That's a rough one because I have a lot. I'm a
I have
fan.
a lot too.
I'm a fan of that genre of movie. If I had to pick one, oh jeez. I know your answer. That's a good answer too. Go ahead, give your answer because people have heard it enough.
Yeah, obviously, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which is the greatest horror comedy movie ever made, in my opinion. That's brilliant film.
Great pick, by the way. If I had to pick, honestly, Shaun of the Dead.
That would have been one of my backups. That, and we talked about it last week, The Final Girls.
Yeah, The Final Girls was good too. I mean, Shaun of the Dead, I feel like, is one of the best. In the top 5, Zombieland.
Zombieland 2. Yeah, it's definitely.
It was also a lot of fun. I mean, you can go on. Return of the Living Dead, I don't think it's enough play. I understand they're all zombie movies so far, but it's kind of funny because Return of the Living Dead, such a great tongue-in-cheek movie. I love one of my favorite scenes of all time comes in Return of the Living Dead, where the ambulances pull up and then the zombies ambush the ambulance drivers and they cut back and the zombie grabs the thing and send more brains.
Starring, of course, the great Tom Matthews, who was, of course, Tommy Jarvis in Friday the 13th Part 6, and also Never Hike Alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And soon to be star of Never Hike Alone 2.
Yeah, and actually multiple sequels.
Yes.
Because they said sequels.
Sequels,
with a plural, which I'm all for.
Number 9 we're up to already here. More than halfway through the list. Most horrifying scene in any horror film you've ever seen.
Oh, jeez. Are we talking about disturbing or scary?
Whatever has scared you the most. Whatever you find to be the most horrifying scene you've ever seen.
Okay, so the most disturbing scene in the movie, and it's going to be weird, is Antichrist. If you haven't seen it with William Dafoe, there's a scene in the movie where he literally puts his foot through a baby's head underneath an accelerator pedal in a car. That's
I guess it doesn't really get much more disturbing than that.
That's the most disturbing thing I think in a movie that I've ever seen. Horrifying wise, I think I would say that overall, yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Mine would be the crab walk scene that didn't even make it into the original theatrical version of The Exorcist, where she's kind of running around like a reverse crab walk. Her head's all upside down and distorted.
I love how you're horrified at that. Like mine is a accelerating pedal going through a baby's head, and you're like the crab walk of the girl is terrifying.
They're both dealing with kids.
That's how you can tell the difference in us.
Right. All right, question number 10. Horror film either in production now or just even rumored to be made that you're most excited to see.
I'm going to go with two. I'm going to go with one is a fan film because I want to give it out. And then number two, I'm going to go with a major production. Currently, the one that I'm most excited about that is coming out is hashtag Ready or Not. After seeing that trailer, a close second would be Dr. Sleep, obviously. Okay. So those are both in production, but I mean, for some reason, that trailer for Ready or Not just got me pumped.
Yeah, my original answer was It Chapter 2 until I saw that trailer for Ready or Not. I don't know. I think I might have changed my mind.
There's some big stuff coming out, so there's a lot coming in and ready to unpack.
Stuff that we didn't even know was coming.
I know, yeah. And the fan film that I want to give a shout out to is a multiple, and we plug them all the time. Voorhees, 13 Fanboy, and also the sequel, as you mentioned a minute ago, to Never Hike Alone. All these Friday the 13th fan films that are super good and have some really cool ideas in them. I'm excited for all of those.
Yeah.
I just want, like I said, I know it sounds like somebody's paying us. Trust me, there's nobody paying us. We're just happy to see some DIY stuff, and it all looks good. I mean, you have a story where you're incorporating Jason's father in the one. You have a story where
and that is Friday the 13th Vengeance.
Is that Vengeance?
It
is.
is.
So that's Vengeance and so Vengeance and Voorhees. I'm both waiting for both of those. So Voorhees is the Last House on the Left-esque Friday the 13th movie.
Yes.
And then Vengeance is the one with the dad. So we're waiting for both of those. Plus then 13 Fanboy, which looks like a serial killer who's killing off people who had stuff to do with the Friday the 13th movie. Who's a fanboy, obviously.
And Adrian King is now a part of that.
Everybody. Dude,
my dear friend.
I just want to point this out. Everybody that has anything to do with the Friday the 13th movie is a part of that movie.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like, it's crazy. It's good, though. I'm not complaining. That's why I said I can't wait to see it. And of course, once we just talked about it a minute ago, Never Hike Alone, that was such a good movie on its own. And then, the surprise at the end where you see Tommy Jarvis as the ambulance guy. And now we're going to get sequels with him. Good stuff. I can't wait to see the fight of the century.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that either. I'm with you on that.
And what was your answer? Was it Ready or Not?
At this point, it was Chapter 2.
Yeah, well, you can still have that. I'm excited to see that still as well. It's kind of taken a beating from some of the early screenings. I hope that's not true. I love the trailer. The teaser trailer looked good. So
I think it's going to be pretty good.
I think it's going to still be good. But just something about Ready or Not, man. I saw that trailer.
Yeah. Boy, does that look fun.
It's something different. It's a breath of fresh air in a world. It looks like the perfect mixture between a slasher and it's a fun slasher, if you will.
Yeah, it
not
really
a comedy.
does.
It doesn't look like a comedy. I think there's some tongue in cheek.
There's a lot of comedic.
There's some tongue in cheek, but I wouldn't call it a straight on comedy. I would say it's a slasher movie that has a lot of tongue in cheek in it. Kind of reminds me of like Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Yeah.
Where it's a true heart slasher movie, but at the same time, it's a lot of fun.
Right. And it had my all-time favorite song in it that a lot of people wouldn't think. Unchained Melody.
That it was in
by
it.
the Righteous Brothers.
There you go.
They're not paying me to say that. You're the one that always says that. I'm going to say that this time.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, sometimes I like to put it out there because sometimes it sounds like when you're plugging stuff, a lot of times people are like, "Oh, you must be getting paid."
Right.
I'm like, no,
I assure you, the Righteous Brothers did not pay me to say that.
I'm just saying, like as far as like the stuff like that, we if they want to pay us or if they want to give us we don't even want payment. If you want to give us a screening early on in your movie, we'll plug the hell out of it.
Absolutely,
we're fans of that because we're just fans, man. Sometimes it's good to just be a fan, and that's why we're doing this. And if we can provide our good opinion and provide you with entertainment, which appears that we're doing because you're listening, that's awesome as well. But like, I'm just a fan. Just get the word out there.
Right.
Just get it out.
All right. Well, we're in the final third of the questions here. Question number 11: favorite kill all time in any horror film?
Ooh, that it would be the wheelchair kill from Friday the 13th, part Deuce.
Oh, such a great answer. But the first time I watched that, did that scare me? Oh my God!
Oh,
I just about fell out of my bed when I watched that one because I was in, I think, college. I was still living at home.
To this day, it is my favorite kill by far. If you wanted, I don't know if it's on your list, but if we could add an 11A, the secondary question, which is the funniest kill ever in a horror movie, it would be Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. It wasn't 4. Well, no, 4. It was a tie. Nightmare on Elm Street 4, the comic book murder.
Yeah.
Or was that 5? No, it was 4. Pretty sure it was 4.
Those movies got so bad at that point, I don't even remember.
But anyways, the comic book kill, and then, of course, Freddy's Dead is making the list because of the Nintendo kill.
Yeah.
Because that was Super Freddy was kind of fun. So those two were my two funnest kills, but definitely all-time favorite kill, wheelchair, and Friday the 13th 2.
I'll bite on the 11A when I get to mine now.
Okay,
I didn't have that. Now you're asking me the hard questions
ahead,
here.
yeah.
All right, so mine, of course, would have to be from the original Halloween when Michael pops out in the out of the pantry in the kitchen and he gets Bob and pins him up against the wall, sticks the knife in him, tilts his head, looks at him. Yeah, that would be my all-time favorite. 11A. We'll say where Jesse Eisenberg kills the clown in Zombieland.
Oh, that's pretty fun, too.
Oh, look at this clown. And then it's a clown, and he had a fear of clowns. So I'd have to say that one, and that's not even the bad guy getting the good guy.
Yeah, that's fun.
Fun one there. Number 12, underrated or unknown horror movie you would recommend.
Oh, man, there's so many. Of course, we talked about it earlier, April Fool's Day. I do believe that is underrated and under-recommended, and we recommend it a lot, but I honestly, I think that is overall.
It deserves it.
A secondary one is we talked about it last week, Terror Train.
Okay.
Because I think that gets lost in the mix of slasher films, and it's a really good slasher film.
Very underrated, and a lot of people don't even realize it exists.
Yeah,
again, Jamie Lee Curtis, and of course, as I mentioned last week, David Copperfield.
If they remade that movie and it did it justice, I'd be all in.
Yeah, I don't know that it needs a remake, but
I mean, it doesn't need it, but
it needs more love is what it needs.
So many people don't love the original. I feel like if they did a remake, at least some people would watch the original to then go back and then be like, oh, if they're good or bad. If they did it at least justice, that would be great, but it might get people to watch the original. Terror Train, so April Fool's Day and Terror Train, I'd say easily.
I'm surprised they haven't remade it
yet.
One
I've been beating the drum of forever, which that's why I want to give a second one, because that's a lot of them I wanted to give another one because it's like, it's an answer you've heard before, so I want to give you one that you have.
Sure. I usually do that with our lists.
Yeah.
All right, so mine would be a movie I have mentioned on the show before. A lot of people have no idea it exists. It's called Malevolence. Actually has a prequel and a sequel to it now. But what a great slasher that is. And that's one, if you haven't seen that, maybe when we do our movie night,
I haven't seen it. That was one of the ones that's on there. I think there's that and Lake Mungo. Yeah,
Lake Mungo's really good too. It's very different. But,
and then we're going to make you watch Sleepwalkers in between.
Sure.
So that way we can do good movie, shit movie, good movie.
There's our triple threat.
Yeah.
The trifecta. Number 13. If you were a character in a horror movie, would you survive and why?
Yes, because as soon as shit hit the fan, I'd be out.
I knew that you were going to say that because we've had this conversation either on or off air before.
Everybody that knows me knows that as soon as shit would hit the fan, I'd be gone. I've always adapted to the rules that you don't have to be the fastest person. You just have to be faster than the slowest person. And if you are the slowest person, all you have to do is pull a Shane from The Walking Dead and pop somebody in the leg and get the hell out. Or throw them to the killer and just leave. There's a lot of times I don't get why people just don't go. when stuff starts to happen, leave.
You'd leave your wife and kid behind, wouldn't you, if you needed to?
If they don't listen and leave when I'm leaving, absolutely. You have to live.
Oh my God, you are the worst human being I have ever met. I love it. I love it.
My normal fight or flight is to fight. However, if I ever found myself dealing with a supernatural killer or some situation that was that way, I'm out. Get out of here.
You're all on your own. I would love to say that I was a really good athlete when I was younger. I was a sprinter in high school, a very, very fast runner. I'd like to think that I would be that athletic guy that would run away, but I'm 40, almost 41. I've got arthritis now, and I've put on a significant amount of weight in the last couple of years. Although I'm not fat, I'm not in the shape that I was when I was younger. I don't think I could outrun anybody. So here's my answer. I'm going to say no, because I think that I could still outrun a killer, and I think that I could outwit them. I don't know. I think that my conscience would get the best of me, and I'd want to go protect somebody that I care about, and I'd end up getting killed.
That's too bad.
I know.
You got to do what I do. We're at that level of life where you're just like, get out. Do what the title of the movie said. If he would have gotten out, he wouldn't have had that happen to him.
Yeah.
Just saying that's the best part about the movie Get Out is that's all he had to do.
No. You make a good point. It's hard to argue that. Question 14. Your earliest memory relating to horror movies.
I've talked about this in ad nauseum, but I'll say it again. I was at the age of, I do believe, 4 or 5, locked in a room because my cousins thought it was funny with them to watch the original Nightmare on Elm Street, and it scarred me to the fact that I didn't watch the original Nightmare on Elm Street again until I was 18 years old. Because I was so terrified of that movie. Now, mind you, I'd seen all the sequels, and I think that's why I love horror movies. But I didn't watch that movie again, and still to this day, that movie still actually terrifies me because I go back to that memory, even though it's not as scary now as it used to be when I was younger. But I still have that memory. But that is the moment.
All right. Mine I've also mentioned ad nauseum. It would be The Exorcist. I remember it was a Friday or a Saturday night in the basement watching TV with my little brother, who was probably about 5 or 6 at the time. I couldn't have been more than, I don't know. Actually, he was probably younger than that. I was maybe 8, 9 years old. And it was on like WPIX or something like that. And it happened to be the scene where her head spun around. The voice, seeing that, being a little kid, scarred me for life. I'm still afraid to sleep at night without covers over me because I'm afraid Linda Blair is going to end up in my room and get me.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm going to be 41 in 2 months. I still have that fear. I'm not even kidding. I still have that fear. And, of course, we're going to round this out with number 15 because I said there was 15 questions. Favorite horror novel that was adapted into a horror movie?
Oh, that's, well, I would say it would be easy if you said, because The Shining, but it's not. Because The Shining is not really adapted too well to the story, as we all know. We talked about that earlier. Favorite one? Oh, man, that's a good one. That's a tough one, actually. If I had to just pick, oh, well, there's, you know what? If I had to pick one, because I'm a big fan of this movie, believe it or not, I would pick Christine.
Good choice.
If I had to pick one, there's a few others that I would pick. Christine is definitely the pick that I would make. I love the concept of that movie. I don't think they've ever done a killer car movie that was any good other than that movie.
Yeah, there's a couple of other ones that failed miserably.
Of course, Maximum Overdrive. Yeah. But I think Christine it was a great Stephen King book. I have read the book. I love the book. I also love the thing. I think close second would be probably it. But once again, that's kind of, it's just a long read and it's a long movie either way, because even with the new one, you're doing chapter 1, chapter 2, and combined they're like a 4-hour movie. The original miniseries was like 6 to 8 hours long, and of course the book is like ridiculous, like 1,000 pages. So, but I would say Christine though. I think Christine edges it out because I think the originality of the story and the fact that nobody has been able to top that story since that story and movie, wins out hand down.
Okay. Now, I'm not a reader. The only horror movie novel that I ever read that was adapted into a book was the Amityville Horror. But I know that my pick was a book. It was a novel that was made into a movie. And this is where I disagree with you. I actually go with The Shining. I know that there's significant... The Shining. I know that there's significant differences, but it was still adapted from a Stephen King novel. So that's what my answer is, and I think that it's just a brilliant movie.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think you're wrong. So that's kind of fun. That's a good list.
It would have been my second choice. So.
It's a good list. That was a good list. Although, it was horror authors, which I was surprised and asked. I'm a big Clive Barker fan.
Ooh.
I'm a big him and Dean Koontz.
Yeah,
which makes sense when I say psychological thrillers, because Dean Koontz that's what he does. And Clive Barker, though, man, brutal. Like he's.
Hellraiser.
Clive Barker is like the gore king of books.
Yeah.
Stephen King is the best horror writer by none. You can't beat him. Imagery in his books is phenomenal. Stories in his books is phenomenal. I mean, there's some stinkers out there, but anybody's going to have, especially his long career he has. But for the most part, he tells the best stories. He paints the best pictures, and that's why, because he paints this lovely picture. Another one that could made the list was Misery. Misery is an amazing movie and an amazing book. But Clive Barker, as much as I love slasher films, he can write a slasher book, which is talent beyond talent, because I don't know how nobody else can do it. I haven't read another book that comes close to doing what he does in the art form of writing, because he does. He basically writes slasher novels.
Right. And
Dean Koontz, like I said, psychological thriller. So giving a big shout out to some authors there, because that wasn't on the list. But hey, why not throw it out there?
All right. Good stuff, Rich. Glad, thank you for playing along with me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys at home were having fun. If you would like to play along, give us your answers. You know what? It's easy to do. Horror Zone 607 on Facebook. While you're there, if you don't already, like and share the page. If you already like and share the page, awesome. Thank you. We appreciate it. Could you also rate and review that? Because that would help us out immensely. Also, ladies and gentlemen, you can check us out on Twitter and Instagram at HorrorZone607. For all the social medias, use the hashtag HZ607 to join our conversation, because we want to hear from you. And if there's things that you want us to talk about, if there's movies you want us to check out, the offer's always stood that still hasn't been answered, but Luke will watch any bad horror movie you want to make him watch and give you a legit review.
I talked with him about that yesterday. He's still up for that.
Like, I'm going to start pumping it out there, because I want the movies. I want you guys to pour them in, because the poor guy is waiting to review bad movies. Like,
he's been sitting in a dark room rocking incessantly ever since. He doesn't do anything.
He goes to work, he creates music, and he's waiting for your...
He cries all day at work.
He's waiting for you guys to send him bad reviews.
He's also, like the Maytag guy.
Also, while you're at it, you can check us out at 8122productions.com for all things 8122 Productions. So check out the Horror Zone 607. We got reviews up there. We've got podcasts up there. We've got videos up there, which is going to bring we're going to come full circle. While you're there, you can check out our other offerings, which would be the 3 Fat Nerds podcast and 3FN Wrestling. Those are also home to 8122 Productions. You can check out our sponsors page, our friends of the shows page. There's so much there, and more is coming, so check us out. Oh, and did I mention you can also download and stream our shows right from there, 8122productions.com. And that leads me to video content. We last week low-key launched the Horror Zone 607 YouTube channel. It is simply titled Horror Zone 607. It sounds like
very easy to find.
Sounds like I planned it out. All you have to do
subscribed.
I subscribed as well under my other one, just because, hey, you gotta get the cheap subscribing,
right.
Cheap pop. But guys, if you listen to the show, check it out. The only thing up right now was last week's episode. I'm probably going to put up this week's episode. I might not go into as much detail with the episodes as I did last week because that took a long time. But you'll still be able to hear those audios, but there'll be video coming soon. We'll be doing some, I know there'll be some live reviews coming soon. Whenever we do an event you heard us talking about, we're going to plan a time to get together in the next few weeks here and do a movie night because we've been planning on it forever. This might light a fire under our ass to do it ever so often because maybe we'll do a little bit of video content from our movie nights. Obviously, we can't show the movies. You can't watch them along with us, but we could, do a pre-movie, little intro and post movie and just put it all together and put it on YouTube for you guys. So it'd be like what we're thinking going into the movie, especially if we haven't seen it, and then synopsis and stuff for those who have seen it, and then a little review after like live real time. Hey, we just finished watching this movie. I promise we'll do that when we do that. There's going to be other things. We're going to be doing Horror Zone news on there, so sometimes you'll see my wonderful face or even Mike's face, and we'll just do hey, something hits the news cycle, we'll just talk about some news that maybe we don't want to wait to the show, or maybe just a teaser to get to the show. Once again, I won't take anything away from this show because this is what we do here. We love this show. But there's a lot of other things that we have planned and are in the works. So we launched it low key. As we put out more and more stuff, we'll be pumping in more. But you guys can help us out. Jump on the bandwagon early. Horror Zone 607 on YouTube.
Thank you so much, Rich. And again, Rich just mentioned it. The game that we just played, the 15 questions. I want to hear what your answers are. Go on Facebook, go on Twitter, go on Instagram. Give us your answers. Mark them 1 through 15, and give us your answers. I want to read what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think. So give us some feedback on that. I want to hear the answers, not just Rich's, not just mine. I want to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, absolutely. We always want to hear you guys get involved. But on top of that, I also want to hear something get involved this week because this weekend is a big horror movie release. Child's Play comes out. Well, technically, preview night would be you hear this, I'll be putting this out late Wednesday. So if you're listening to the podcast, the earliest you'll probably hear it is, unless you stay up late night and you get this late and you listen to it, which we enjoy that too. You'll probably be hearing it on Thursday. So the preview night would be tonight, and then of course it starts. The real release night is Friday.
Right.
We will be going to see it. I know Mike is going to go see it, and I might be able to drag him to write a review about it. That would be nice.
I plan on it for this one,
and
I'm inspired.
I can't go to see it because of work until Sunday, but I'm going to make a promise to the fans before Sunday. I'm going to go see it during the day. After I see it, and before, because I'm going to be watching the WWE pay-per-view, unfortunately, on Sunday Stomping Grounds.
That's horrific.
Of course, because I have to watch it for 3FN Wrestling, the wrestling show I do. It's horrifying enough. That's probably the scariest thing I'm going to see that day, no matter how scary Child's Play is. I'm going to try to do an actual video review that I'm going to try to get up while I'm reviewing Stomping Grounds because I feel like I'll have time to do both. It'll give me something fun to do while I'm watching Stomping Grounds and supposed to be reviewing that. I don't know if I'm going to video do Stomping Grounds or write it. I might just do video so that way
I would just give like a quick one-word answer if I was you.
Just
rush it.
My reviews in one word.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Just
that's
put the camera on me. It'd take less than 3 minutes.
One word could do the whole pay-per-view.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Unfortunately, something will happen that'll piss me off, and it'll be like a 20-minute rant video. Let's be honest. But honestly, I'm going to do a video review, the first video review for Child's Play, and Mike will be doing his written review, hopefully, for Child's Play.
Yeah,
it'll come out prior to that, and then next week on this very show, we'll actually get together and talk about it as unison, and hopefully Ron will see it, and hopefully Ron will be back next week. He won't be saving the streets. We don't know, or maybe we'll have a different special guest because we have a lot of guests that want to come on. So for all those people who are listening that have been guests on the show before and would be interested in coming back, trust me, we're going to be bringing them back. So it's going to be some fun times ahead. We got a lot of fun times coming.
We really, really do. But yeah, everybody get out there. Horror fans, get out there and support the horror community. Watch Child's Play. It's the big one this weekend. Next weekend is going to be Annabelle Comes Home.
And I know.
Got some big stuff.
I know.
Get out and support them.
I know that we were very hard on this movie. And I know we were going
And
to
maybe it'll
boycott
be
this
worse
movie
once
when
we
it was
see
come
it.
out. And it might be worse. But
It's going to be hard to
at
compare it
least-
to the original, or to not compare it to the original.
But at least I've turned the corner. And as you know, a couple weeks ago, I apologized and I turned the corner and I want to go see this movie now because in the last month and a half of build, it's been a nice build. It could let me down or it could surprise me. I'm not going into this movie thinking it's going to, I'm not going to, I mean, it's hard not to compare it to the original.
Yeah.
But I'm not thinking it's going to be the original. I already know it's not. I want to watch this as its own piece. That's what I'm going to go into this movie. And when I do my review, I'm going to go into it. Now, mind you, I might compare some things to the original because you're going to have to. However, I'm going to go into this movie and rate it as its own piece of work because it is a remake.
Yeah.
With that being said, hopefully the hype machine that has turned the corner for me in the last month and a half, hopefully it pays off and it's at least decent. I'm not looking for it to be a 10 out of 10. As you know, I don't rate anything 10 out of 10 pretty much. I don't think it's going to be a 9 out of 10. I don't think it's going to be an 8 out of 10. I don't even think it's going to be a 7.5. So it's not going to be...
I'm feeling about a 5 or a 6.
It's not going to be us. It's not going to be... But I think I can get a 5 or 6 out of it. I really do. I really believe that it could get a 5 or 6, and that to me is a win. And that right there is enough of a reason to go see something. If it's a 5 or 6 on my list, I want to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, usually if it's anything below 2, I don't want to see it. If it's a 2 to 5, it's I'll catch it when I catch it,
right?
Or telling you to catch it when you catch it. Anything 5 and above, it's a must see.
Yeah.
Really, it is. Even if if it's a 5 or a 6, it's maybe one time see in the theater and one time see.
If it's less than
later
that,
on.
wait till it's on Sci-Fi.
If it's over 6. If it's over a 6, it's see it in the theater, see it when it comes out again. Maybe even own it. That's my opinion. So I mean, I'm more lax on where I am with things, and I realize the horror genre is not going to produce a ton of 9s.
Right.
Let's be honest, it's just the way the genre works. Because even the perfect movies or the closest to perfect movies in the genre,
they have their flaws.
I mean, Halloween is pretty much as close to a perfect movie as you can get. Period. Not just in horror, but any movie. If you really watch that movie, and I give it a 9.5 because I can't give anything a 10. I can't say something is a perfect movie because you can always find something, and there is stuff in the original.
The dialogue is
bad. The dialogue is bad. There's certain scenes that make no sense, even though the
rest of it makes up for it.
Even though I love the scene where Dr. Loomis is standing in the bushes, fucking with the kids. There's no reason for that scene in that movie,
hey, Lonnie,
except for to show that he's a dick.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like that's it. But I thought you're supposed to love this guy,
right?
And he's a dick. But it is what it is. But we're not being nitpicky. But 9.5 is like I said, it's probably one of the most perfect movies. Period. But definitely, we're gonna check that out and get you. And we make these promises. We're gonna make things happen, man. We got big things coming.
We really do. It's gonna be a good year and good years to come.
I got some more surprises up the sleeve. Like I said, within the next month, I want to get with the people here at Dragon Master Games, plan out a movie night for April Fool's Day. We will go big with it. We will do it a big event, and we'll invite people, and we'll get stuff up. We want to see as many of you come. Even if you don't, I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, even if it's just the 2 or 3 of us here, we'll still have fun.
I'm going to enjoy it, but we want to give something for people to do. We're going to do some more stuff like that coming up soon because we have the ability to do that. And then there's also stuff that I can't talk about right now that is going to be really cool. I got some cool ideas coming in the future.
Can't wait to hear it. All right, well, that's our show for this week. Before we go, I just want to, send out a thank you. I don't do this enough, especially on air, but I want to send out a thank you to my co-host Rich for being here every week, for all the work he puts in. A lot of you don't realize this, but he does have the 2 other shows that he does. He works hard on our show, produces so much content every week. You're the hardest working guy I know, and we couldn't do any of this without you. So I just want to thank you for all that.
And off air, I'm going to shoot him like evil looks because I hate when getting thanked for it. But thank you. I do appreciate it.
We'll hug it out later. Don't worry.
I do appreciate it. I try not to take too much credit.
No, you deserve a lot of credit for what goes on here and and your other stuff. So I also want to thank all you fans and listeners out there who do download the show and listen to us every single week. We love doing the show. We appreciate you more than you know for listening. So thank you. We hope that we can get you out there to share it and get the word out. We want to get bigger. We want to get better. We want to get Horror Zone 607 out in this world and just continue to grow. But that's it. That's all I got for this week. So we'll be back next week to talk more horror and bring you all the biggest news and also talk about Child's Play as we talked about. So we will see you guys next week. See ya.